her account immediately, or is there a cutoff date? Let's say once a month, twice a month.
Yeah.
What's the transfer schedule?
So there is a cutoff date. Everything does get, because when we take on a property management, your tenants are going to be added into our system. Our system accepts different types of payments, but it all gets deposited into a trust account that we have set up for our landlords. And then from there, we transfer to our landlords depending. We put them on either a payment schedule of the 5th or the 15th, depending on how your tenant pays. That's how you'll get paid. So if your tenant pays after the 5th, you'll get paid on the 15th. If they pay before the 5th, then you'll get paid on the 5th.
Okay, perfect. So now if investors have their own crew of maintenance guys, can you dispatch them?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's huge, right? Because many property management companies, they do not allow you to do so because they have their own crew on staff. So, and you know, that's also a source of revenue for them, but it could get very expensive, right? Because obviously they need to pay employees to do so. But if you are comfortable with your own crew, that is just great. And the way we do it is we have, let's say, a list of plumbers, electricians, you know, a backup for every single trade in case they cannot get a hold of them or they're busy, then you dispatch the next one. But the key question is, at what point should you start using a property management company? You know, investors typically ask, you know, when I have 1, 5, 10, what do you think is the right answer? What would you say?
Maybe 3.
3? 3? What about anybody else?
Some people say at the beginning.
Is at the beginning. Jessica, what would you say?
I would say like him 3, but you can do it with 1. It depends on whether you want to have your time being taken up or have somebody else do it. So you have to equate, is it worth your time to be the one to always have to call a plumber or electrician or whatever, or should I just pay the $85 or whatever the cost may be and let somebody else really collect the money and pay, you know, even if you only have 1. You know, you just roll that cost into the rent.
Exactly. So let me just give you the answer by telling you how you're going to be making money in real estate. You're going to be making money in real estate when you make offers, when you talk to sellers, and when you talk to listing agents. Are you going to be making any money when you talk to your own tenants, when you dispatch people, when you go, are you going to make money? No, in fact, it's the opposite. It's going to take you away from the activity that you should be focusing on. And you know, that's one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen from investors, that they want to become a trader of all jacks. They want to learn a little bit of everything, and then you become good at nothing, right? And then guess what? You become your own bottleneck of your success. And that's the way it should not be, right? So you always want to rely on the experts, because guess what? It's not only getting phone calls in the middle of the night from tenants, but what about rent collection? What about the landlord-tenant ordinance that you need to be aware of? You know, the Cook County, the Chicago one versus the suburbs. What about the lease agreements, right? What about the tenant screening? What about the bookkeeping, right? The rent rolls. What if they are not paying on the 5th? What's the protocol, right? They have protocols for it, right? So if they don't pay on the 5th, you know, they'll usually issue the 5-day notice, right? Or, you know, if they haven't paid by, you know, maybe the 20th, then you serve them the 5-day notice officially, you know, with the server. So are you going to be on top of all of these? It's one of the worst jobs that you can possibly take on, right? So that is why even if you have one property, you shouldn't even think about it. You need to engage, and $85 is nothing compared to the benefits. Does that make sense? So yeah, if you ever question, should I accumulate 2, 3? No. Please don't even engage in property management. It's very complicated. And if you're not on top of it, your tenants are going to take you for a ride. Why? Because guess what? If you don't send them messages, you know, reminders, which they do, or letters, you know, they'll delay the payment. So if you're not checking, right, it's an issue, because then you won't get your money on time. And then guess what? You have to pay the mortgage on time, right? So that is why you always have to work with the experts on any single field, especially property management. That's something that you do not want to take on. It's very complicated. Would you have anything else to add,
No, I think you explained everything beautifully. Everything I was thinking, he was already saying. So
anything that, and you know, one of the things that I really like about, you know, how Fairview works is that they charge you a flat fee, right? Because one of the issues that I had with property managements in the past is that they charge you a percentage of the rent. So we get in the habit of increasing rents on a yearly basis. I do not believe to sign a 2-year lease with tenants. Why? Because if they want to break out of the lease, they will. And if they have to change, you know, jobs or whatever, they will break out of the lease. So are you going to take them to court? Guess what? If they leave right now in the middle of the lease, it's your responsibility to get it rented. And right now, rental market is super hot. So the judge is not going to feel pity for you if you have a vacancy. So on a yearly basis, you've got to increase the rent, right? So it's super important to use a professional company. So the issue that I have with companies is if I make more money on a yearly basis by increasing the rents, why would my expenses also increase on the property management, right? So if we can have a flat fee, it's just even better. Go ahead.
But wouldn't a percentage give the property manager an incentive to collect more rent? Like the more rent you collect, the more commission they get.
That's a question for you guys.
I mean, the incentive is to keep you as a customer. So, you know, we're in the business of helping you make more money, and that's why our fee is flat. And
well, if it's a building, depending on how many units you got, you know, there's a maximum amount of rent that can be collected. So if it's a percentage of the rents collected, then it's in the property manager's interest to try to get 100% of the rent.
it is, but I mean, that's still in our, you know, that's what we do. We have a department that's dedicated just to rent collection alone. We have a girl that sits behind the desk and will call your tenants every day until they get paid. And if you have a building, I do want to clarify, it's $85 per door, and that's, you know, that's our starting price, depending on what you're coming with. If you know, we have some landlords that are coming in with multiple evictions, just kind of a little messy, then the fee might be a little higher.
Does that make sense? So yeah, I love the flat fee. So they don't tap into your revenue increase as a result of rent increase on a yearly basis. And especially now that in some of the properties that we stabilize, we increase the rent 400, 500, 600 to make them market rent. So then we just feel comfortable paying a flat fee. Do you guys have any other questions for Virginia on property management? Yes, online. Any other questions online?
Yes, Hugo.
Management fee, we do, it depends. So it depends, as our costs go up, yeah, the fee might increase. So we do annual reviews. So.
And then online, we do have another question. So could you please ask the question?
Yes, this is Michelle. How you doing? I got in late on the conversation, but I heard you say you was doing a flat fee. I've been looking for a property management firm, and everybody's doing percentage. Now, do you do find the tenant as well?
Yes, we do have a dedicated leasing department that will screen your tenant. They'll do the background check, the credit check, and market the property for you. The fee for that is 1 month's rent.
Okay. All right. And do you do I think I touched on a little bit about you'll do the maintenance calls as well.
That's for the property management, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is huge. How are you doing with your Chicago property, Michelle? Are you still trying to rent that out?
Yes, I am. I've been trying to get a property management crew in there to find it. And you know, a lot of people they do the 12%, and also it's a different charge for finding a tenant for you. So that's why I was asking her about, do they also find the tenant for you?
Yeah, they do, which is huge. So do me a favor, Phil, can you please post Virginia's contact information on the chat so that Michelle and many other people online can reach out to her? But yeah, in a nutshell, it's really amazing, right? Flat fee, they can help you find the tenant, screen the tenant. So it's what we're looking for as investors. Are there any other questions for Virginia on the line?
What is the name again of the property management company?
Fairview Realty Group.
Therapy?
Fairview.
Oh, Fairview. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, Mary, Fairview. Phil, can you post it? So Phil will post all the information online, I mean on the chat. I think he already did. Okay, so you guys have Virginia's contact information on the chat. Mary, do you have any other questions or anybody else questions for Virginia?
No, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Well, we have the expert.
I have something to add.
I
Okay,
just
So,
Do,
the difference. So property management, you all leasing is standard leasing. But there's a little bit differences here. On leasing, we don't charge tenant application.
That's
We
correct.
don't charge owners the cost of tenant screen. We have our own way of marketing it that we get more exposure to your properties. We price them a little bit better. We show them a little bit more actively. So this is curious, but I can show you, like, I did one presentation for one of the owners that decided that they could come and use Fairview. It was for City of Bowling. Average market time on City of Bowling Group for a rental, 69 days. Average for us, 23 days. Because we take out some of the barriers that, because of lack of knowledge, whether it is the property managers or even the landlords, they have up. First one, the husband and wife pay $100 application fee to apply with, or go to True Credit or TransUnion site and pay $60. We don't charge those fees.
so that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
Virginia, would you like to say that on
Yeah,
the line?
so what Hattie's trying to say is that one of the benefits that we have in our leasing program is that we do not charge application fees. We don't charge the landlord for screening, for credit, background check. That's all included in your 1 month's rent commission. So
oh,
that's
that's awesome.
that's the advantage that we have when somebody comes to look at one of our properties and they say, what's the application fee? When we say nothing, they're going to apply, you know, versus
Exactly.
another property that's charging $50 an application.
Per person.
Yeah, per person. That when you're out there looking for a property, you go see 3, 4 properties, and that can add up. So
And the
Absolutely.
other thing is, our decision process is faster. So think about it this way, the way our system is set up, if a qualified applicant apply with us, in all likelihood, they will have a yes answer. Before the traditional landlord these days will, you will go to the website of TransUnion, complete the rental application and pay your fees and apply. Before they even get there, we already qualified the tenant, we told them yes, we put them into our process. So we end up with better quality tenants, faster. The landlords that they charge applications, they put them through all these hoops of going to websites and apply for rental application, upload IDs and all of that. They will never see those tenants.
but one thing I
We
do.
already took them already.
Yeah, one thing I do want to clarify though is that we do involve the landlord. If you want to be part of the decision making, we'll present every qualified application to you. We won't just give you a random person that came in that doesn't even qualify, so.
Great, perfect. Anybody, any other questions for Virginia?
Do you do
Go ahead.
do you
No.
do you do Section 8? Do you screen Section 8 tenants the same as you do an income?
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
Thank you.
My question is, because it happened to me before.
Uh-huh.
I was very good tenant. Unfortunately, the tenant got sick and she wasn't able to pay the rent for 2 months. Are you connected with some type of institutions that they can help like good tenants to continue in the house? Like I didn't want to lose the tenant. But she was in a situation that she wasn't able to pay for a few months. For in that case, the tenant, eventually she paid and she was saving some money. But I feel like, really, really sorry that she wasn't able to work. She had cancer. So, did you work with other institutions to help with tenants, like in case of that ever happen?
Yeah.
It happens to me once, but
Yeah, we actually do have connections with like Catholic charities. I don't know off the top of my head because that's Amber, the girl that does our, the lady that does our rent collection, she has a list. So anytime a tenant is falls behind, she'll email that list and help them apply.
And in fact, Maria Angelique, that's what she does. So she has a lot of resources for it as far as helping tenants. So it's very powerful.
Okay. Well, we need to talk.
Yeah, this is great. And we happen to have a tenant. She's fallen behind twice. She's amazing at getting assistance. So we've been able to collect where she's getting assistance from. They have rent funds that you can tap into from the government, from local churches, Catholic Church, and then Angelique, you can probably mention many more.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are the key ones there. Catholic Church is huge.
It's huge.
We have some Martha's there that does that. Also churches, don't forget churches are a huge support in the community to help with rental assistance. And then there's so many other programs that are out there. Just pretty much follow the money, all right? So whenever the state of Illinois gets funds coming in for housing, that falls under homelessness and rapid rehousing. So the money is there available for people to utilize. So they have it. It's so many that's out there. It's a lot. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Angelique. Okay, are there any other questions for Virginia?
I just came on not too while ago. I don't know if this question has been answered already, but do they also handle evictions?
Yes, we do. Whether you have your attorney or you can use our attorney that we use, we can handle the eviction for you.
Yeah, Veronica. So the answer is yes, which, is very helpful. Hopefully none of you are going through that right now. Yeah. Anybody else? Okay. Hello, Maria.
Hugo?
Yes.
I have a question. What is the charge to use their attorney for an eviction?
What's the charge for the attorney for an eviction?
Yes.
I believe we use Attorney Levitt. I believe his fee is $1,125. That includes the first 2 court hearing and all the filing fees and court costs.
And that's pretty standard because usually filing fees are somewhere in the $350 or so. Attorney's fees $750 at least. So it's about $1,000. But that's where you never want to do an eviction. You always want to work with the tenant. Worst case scenario, do cash for keys because that's going to be quicker. You don't want to go through the court system to get them out. So work with them, and then eviction will be the last resource. However, while you work with them, so they take you serious, you do have to file the eviction, right? So don't just go by what tenants say. Yeah, I'll pay. Well, in the meantime, boom, you put it through the court system, and hopefully you agree on on a settlement, cash for keys, anything for them to leave the premises. So you take possession and then get it rented out. So that's critical. Great question. Any other questions online for Virginia? Anybody else? So yeah, please make sure that you connect your information. I mean, her information is on the line, and then all of you, you'll hand out your business credit card. I mean, your. The joke to see if you guys were awake, but yeah, you guys are awake. That's awesome. So she'll pass out her contact information. So, okay.
All right, thank
Perfect.
you.
Thank you, Virginia. Awesome. Okay, guys, so let's get started. So today's topic is finding hidden deals off market. Okay, so we're going to be focusing on that and much more. But before we get started, all of us are in real estate, right? So I would like to hear from you as to what you think has been the most challenging aspect of real estate. What do you think has held you back for too long? Can we start with who would like to? We can start from left to right, and then I'll have the camera.
What's the most
The most challenging. What's holding you guys up right now in real estate?
Oh, me?
Or as an investor, if you're an investor, yeah.
So my challenge is, what is my challenge?
I think a lot of from what I see, a lot of people, their number one challenge is money.
Money. Okay, number one challenge, money. Anybody else? What has been your, anybody?
Money and properties.
Money, properties. Jessica, April? Money. Finding off-market deals. Off-market, properties off-market. What would you say?
Well, I would actually say locating the owner of the property.
Okay, locating the owner when the property is further up. Okay.
Or, in other words,
Yes, who's behind the property? Okay, so are you currently investing? Are you wholesaling? Investing. Rentals, flips? Flips, okay. And where are you getting the source of inventory right now?
I
Drive for dollars. Okay, drive for dollars. So as far as, let's talk about that, because that's on the topic of hidden deals, right? So where do we truly find great deals? Right, so what are the main sources? When you have two options, MLS and then off market. So MLS, everyone has eyes on them. It's very competitive, but you can still find deals. Okay, so off market is obviously where you're going to have the bigger spreads on the deals. So the question is, how do you find them, right? And do you even know where they are? Do you believe there are great deals in your backyard, but you wouldn't be able to find them? What would you say? The answer is yes?
Yes.
Of course, yes. So let me tell you some of the lead times for off-market properties. So you have vacant properties, right? So we're going to look at some examples, vacant properties, and how you can locate the owner. You also have the foreclosure process, right? So that means that owners or investors defaulted in the mortgage. So now the lender will foreclose on the property, right? That process takes about 2 years. And guess what? So in the process, the key in the foreclosure process, before the bank takes over the property, is to be able to intercept the property at the right phase. So how many phases are there? Super simple, 2 phases. The first phase is after 90 days, the owner is behind. So the bank is going to be sending letters, but after 90, meaning 3 months, 3 to 5 months, the bank will file a lawsuit, and then in the legal terms, it's called the lien pendant, which is the entry point to the foreclosure process. And it has to go through the court system because Illinois happens to be a judicial state. That means that the foreclosure process needs to go through the court system, whereas non-judicial states like California or the East Coast do not need to go through the court system. Therefore, they can foreclose on the owners in as little as 6 months versus 2 years in the US. In Illinois, big difference. So therefore, when they get served the lead pendant or they enter the pre-foreclosure process, it's a great time for us as investors to reach out to them. And guess what? We have that information because it's public record. And I'll show you that in just a second. So we get a list of all the people that have entered the pre-foreclosure process. So what's the likelihood of you getting a property from them? It's going to be slow or slim. Slim, I would say. Why? Because they are in denial, right? They believe they're still going to get current in the mortgage and be able to continue living where they are. But oftentimes that's not the case, right? So they won't be able to concur with the mortgage. And eventually, the second and most important phase is when the judge issues the auction date. The judge, that happens close to about a year, 9 months to 12 months within the process. And the judge says it's been long enough. At this point, we have to auction off the property. So it's going to go to the courthouse at the county where the property is. And then at that point is where the big sharks come and you have to pay cash, and then you have to do due diligence because you may buy a piece of junk sight unseen, right? So it's too risky to do so. So either you intercept the property when they get served or when they enter the pre-foreclosure, or when they are given the auction date. So think about this. 9 months have gone by and they get the auction date. They're going to say, Mr. Brock, your property is going to get auctioned off in the next, I would say, 2 to 3 months. So at that point, let's say Mr. Brock is going to be very motivated, right, to take action, because if he doesn't do anything, 3 things are going to happen to him. He's going to lose the property and the equity that he has on the property. He's going to ruin his credit, right? And he'll be on the street. So it's a pretty big deal. So we know who those individuals are. So when we reach out to people in distress, in this case foreclosure, we focus on the upcoming auctions. So the people who know the property is going to get auctioned off in the next, I would say we need 45 to 3 months, okay, because we need enough time to be able to close on the property. So that's the best lead pipe where we can focus. And I'm going to show you how you can find them, right? We can filter. Give me all the properties that are going to go to the judicial auction in the next 3 months. And you can sort them by zip code, by neighborhood, okay, by village. And then once you get into each of those properties, you have the option through the system to click on the name and boom, we're going to do skip tracing and show you their contact information. And the same applies for vacant properties. So we can tell you who the owner of record is and their phone number, whatever is available through Reconnect to True People Search. That's one of the best skip tracing services. So then we give you the contact information, but the next question is, how do you pursue them? How do you buy those properties? What do you tell the owner? So the big advantage is that you don't have any competition, right? You can reach out to the owner directly. You can finance the transaction, and you won't overpay for the property. Why? Because you don't have competition. You can go inside the property if you happen to build a rapport with the owner, right? So these owners will for sure lose their property unless they do something about it, right? So how do we do it? Either over the phone, you can send a mailer, but remember the open rate is only 3 to 5% open rate. If you send 100 letters, only 2 to 3 get open if you get lucky. So it's best to get in touch with them over the phone, text message, or door knock, right? So, and you have you done door knocking? So what's your strategy on door knocking? How do you talk and build rapport to the with the owner?
It's hidden. Sometimes they're in denial. When I go, it's like
in denial. In the initial state.
We'll catch up. We'll make it happen.
Exactly. So they're in denial.
A couple of months later, they lost it. You know what I mean? So my thing is the conversation, just like you said, the sweet spot that you have with them, talk.
Exactly.
Make sure you're able to have a conversation with them. know they're going to lose it. Because when I talk to them, they think they
Exactly, absolutely. So we had a case in Amherst where the owner was 40, no, it was 60 days before the auction date. So we met the owner, and then, oh, please come in. We met the owner, and then at the property. So when you meet the owner, what is it that you want to do? You want to listen. That's going to be the most important thing. Mr. Seller, what is it that you want to do with the property, right? Because they do have equity, some of these owners. And he said, you know, I don't want to make any repairs. I just want my money. I want to max out, you know, as much money as you can give me, and I want to go to Minneapolis. That's it, and settle somewhere else. I said, okay, so at that point, what is it that we do as investors? We assess the scope of work. How much would it take to repair the house? And this is how we tackle their main, I would say, they want to get the most money, right? That's the main obstacle that we face as investors. So a way to overcome that obstacle is by telling them, listen, to rehab this property is going to take this much money, right? So to make the story short, we were able to pay for this property. It's in an A neighborhood. We paid $210 for the property, but we knew the ARV was in the upper 300s, low 400s. So anywhere between 385 to 420. We bought it for 220, but we knew we had to put in at least 80,000 into the property, 80 to 100,000, because it also depends on the neighborhood. Better neighborhoods, better rehab quality, more expensive, right? So up until today, that property, you know, we have great tenants. We cash flow on the property, and we're pretty happy. But again, the key was to reach out to the owner when he was given the auction date, because he's extremely motivated. Otherwise, he would lose the property and everything, and he would need to walk away from it. Does that make sense? So it's a win-win. You're always looking for the win-win. We had a second scenario, again, upcoming auction with the owner in Morton Grove. It's an A neighborhood. We ended up paying, the property was in very good shape. We ended up paying $210 for the property. We sold it for $300, but we only put maybe $20,000, $25,000. But that was exactly the same case where the auction was happening in the near future, and then you are there to give them a solution, okay? Obviously, you need to have the funding ready, right? If you're gonna buy the property, you need to move pretty fast. So we're gonna talk about funding next. And one of the important things when you meet or talk to owners is to talk to the decision maker, okay? Which may not be the person that is on title for the property. So in this case, I met with the husband. He was the decision maker. However, he was not on the deed. He was the wife. But we struck the deal, and then we took a one-page contract that I'm going to make available to all of you, because you don't want to intimidate them with a 13-page contract. So he signed the contract, and we said, obviously, you are not on title. We need your wife's signature. As soon as the wife came from work, all he said was, just sign right here. So she signed the contract. And then, so that was pretty easy. And then, you know, it goes through the attorney review. And then at that point, the attorney said, okay, let's use a better contract. Fine, we can use whatever version. So they wanted the $7 contract that all brokers use. So we ended up using that. But that was another off-market transaction, right? But the question is, who's going to be able to do so? And are you going to have the time to do that, to do door knocking, to be calling them, to follow up with them? Who's going to have time to do that, right? So raise your hand if you have extra time to do so and do door knocking. And I mean, it takes time, probably you experience that. It takes time, resources to do so. So the question is, where do all these deals come from, right? How can you have access to them? And the answer is connections, relationships. That's the bottom line. That's the key, right? So how do you accomplish that? By working with, in this case, that's been my role in the last 2 years, building relationships with key players in the industry. These people happen to buy lots of properties at judicial auctions. They pay cash and they want to dispose of them through wholesaling. So they come to a group like ours, the deal makers. So we get a first-hand look at all these off-market properties. That's one way. Another resources that we have gives us a big list twice a month of REOs, so bank-owned properties. So these are properties that the bank took over. They foreclosed on the owner. So the bank is not in the business of real estate. They're in the business of lending. So they're going to send these properties to the online auctioning platforms like auction.com, hubzu.com. And the key thing is that we have the ability to pull them from the back door and paying the reserve, meaning what the bank is going to sell it for without engaging in a bidding war, which is huge, right? In fact, this month we're pulling 3 properties, one in Cicero, Forest Park, and Oakland. So Oakland, we're doing a partnership with Ron, that property in Oakland. So that's how deals come into investors. The best deals, you won't see them. The ones that require a lot of work, the ones that are very risky, you will probably see them in your inbox, right? So you have to be very careful about that. In fact, tomorrow I'm going to have a meeting. Sorry for letting my trades. Oh, no worries. Come on in, please. So tomorrow I'm going to have a meeting with New Western. Many, probably you guys have heard of them, New Western. It's the largest wholesaling company in the United States. They do over $2 billion a year. They're based out of Texas. They recently came to Illinois. Oh my goodness, they're getting so many properties on the contract off market. So I'm going to have a meeting with the main guy, the main broker in Downers Grove tomorrow. So my objective is to see how we can collaborate, right? And then bring these better deals to the group. Have these first-hand look at their deals and vice versa. See how we can collaborate, because this is all about relationships, okay? And that's how we get most of our inventory, through connections, through relationships. Now let's talk about funding, right? Because one thing is to get the deal, right? But what if I was to tell you, Maria, this is a great deal, right? Here's the great deal. But the question is, can you close? Will you be able to perform, right? How do we ensure that you can perform, that you have access to the funding, right? So what's been the biggest issue with investors? And what is it that they need? Funding.
Proof of funds.
Say that again?
Proof of funds.
Proof of funds, exactly. Proof of funds. So when we started this group, the deal makers, we're about 100 investors right now in this group, okay? So that was one of the biggest issues. My focus was on bringing the deals. So now I brought the deals, but then investors could not perform. And that was pretty bad, because then I look back with my partners. You guys are probably blacklisted, right? Because then we cannot give you any more properties. So then we tried to figure this out. So we reached out to Harmony lenders, and I said, we have this group, many investors, different levels, experience, no experience. What can we do? Some of them shut me out. They said, Hugo, we like you, but unless your investors have at least 4 to 5 deals in the last 2 years, we don't want to work with them. I was like very disappointed when I heard that. I said, okay. So I reached out to many of the partners that we have, and then there was one that said, okay, Hugo, we can help them as long as they have 4 deals done in the last 2 years. I was like, oh my goodness. It's like, how do you expect somebody new to have success if they don't have the experience? It's like, who came first, the chicken or the egg, right? It's like impossible. You're in this dead end, right? So how can you be successful if nobody wants to help you, but they don't want to help you because you're not successful? So you end up nowhere. And that is why over 90% of investors do not make it to where they should be, right? And they get frustrated and eventually they quit. It's very sad, but it's true. So then what we did is we figured this out, and then on the transactions that we do, we buy properties, we created an LLC and added a bunch of people. right, on the operating agreement. So on paper now, many of you have the track record for properties. So then I said to our preferred partner, I said, okay, we're going to give them track record. They're part of our transactions, and we're going to work closely with them to ensure the transaction is successful. And they said, Hugo, now we have a deal. So now they can give us up to $2 million for any investor, which is critical, right? To be able to do a rehab loan, meaning the purchase and the rehab, they give you up to 90% of the purchase and the rehab. So combined 150, they give you 135. You need to bring 15,000 to the table. So that's another thing that you need to figure out. How can you get the cash reserves if you don't have cash reserves? So last year we did a lot of partnerships. If you have money and you don't, we put you together, so you chip in, and then you become part of the deal. But then my objective was, it could be too messy, too confusing. My objective is to make somebody self-sufficient financially. If you want to take on a deal, a rental, you should be able to do so on your own. So now we have our partner, Jose, and myself, who are helping our investors get them unsecured loans, personal loans, meaning cash in your bank. Okay, those are five or so term, meaning years, 9 to 12, 9 to 14% interest rate, but that's going to give you the cash so that you can pay for down payments, carrying costs, and so forth, and do more deals for those of you who need it. So in fact, I think Angelique, right, you got like 86,000, so she got 86. April, like 100,000, right? Or how much? Like a lot. 83,000. 83,000. You just need to make sure your FICO is at least 680. So they got funds from our partner, e-funding experts, Jose and Maria, who are helping them not only get the cash reserves, but also the business credit cards to start paying for materials. But I'm super excited. I would like to bring you guys up here, April, Maria, Angelique. I'm so proud of you. And I thought, come on over, because these those deserve credit, right? Come on over, Angelique. So when I met them, I'm going to start with April, right? Yes, I mean, she was super excited, you know, that she had a deal and that she had the funding for it. Before she joined our group, we vetted the deal. We realized she was going to lose money. So we decided to talk her the truth. It's sad, but you know, absolute truth. So I said, please, you have to cancel the deal. So she indeed canceled the deal. Did you recover your entire earnest money or the 1,500?
No, I got it was 5,000.
How much?
35.
35. Okay, so we ended up getting rid of her broker, her attorney, her deal, everything that she came with, right? I said, your attorney's off, your funding, everything. So then she joined the group, and then she closed on a property after three weeks. So congratulations. What blows my mind is that she's a nurse, right? You know, like nothing to do with real estate, newbie, right? Never ever done a rental. As soon as she joined the group, you know, she got the $2 million line of credit, 80-something thousand in cash, business credit cards, a deal closed on a property. Now we follow up with her on a weekly basis to make sure that she's on track on the recap of her rental. So I'm like blown out of my mind. So congratulations, everyone. I'm very proud of you. The same thing happened with Angelique. You know, she joined, no experience, nothing. We got her the $2 million line of credit, the cash. Thank you, Jose, 86,000. And then she closed on her first property. And how is your rehab going?
Oh, it's going excellent. I mean, at this rate, they started on May 30th, and they're fast. I don't know, they might be done next week. But most definitely by the end of this month. They're on track. Everybody fell into place like they need to. Everybody showed up. And I just was still in awe, like, okay, this is my first one. It's going so smoothly. So thank you. Thank you, everybody that reached out to the team that was working with me whenever I had any questions. And it's going so smooth. It is going so smooth.
Yeah, it's super exciting, and then it's just about to get better. As soon as you do the first one, it's the most challenging. but then it gets easier and easier and easier. There are going to be some challenges, right, throughout along the way, but that's what the group is for, right? We're helping, supporting each other. And then Maria, she is the one that blew me out the most, okay? So in a nutshell, she joined the group and she's closing on 3 properties this month.
Nice.
We're funding the properties. So when she came, again, the same story, she got a deal, but the funding was not the best. I mean, she was required to bring a little bit, probably over 40 or close to 45,000, which, you know, that's the problem. When you don't have the experience, they'll wipe you out. If they give you the money, they're going to wipe you out of your reserves because you're a big liability, so they want you to have as much money down. So then I said, you know, let's scratch your lender. We're going to work with you on the funding. And thanks to that, now she's going to be able to bring a lot less, right? How much? 15,000. So the savings was 30,000. Therefore, now she is able to do 2 more deals, right? So it's huge. So I want to give you a big round of applause to all 3 of you.
Something that I want to mention that Mr. Cuba said that it's really hard for young investors. I was helping my son on this deal. He's 19, and especially the age was something that we were struggling a lot to get funding, the trust, people to trust him. Even though I have the experience, everything I was doing to help him on his first LLC. He's been taking classes. He's been going with me to so many courses, and he knows more than me on real estate. And still, just because of the age, he wasn't able to get any loans. So with Mr. Gigo to help us, and so he's able to do 3 this month, and I'm helping him to the process. He couldn't make it today, but he'll be around.
Yeah, so that was like mind blowing. And then even the lender, our partner, he called me, hey, Hugo, you know, that's a very young investor. I was like, yeah, indeed, he's very young. I didn't know the age. He's 20.
He's 19.
19, not even 19.
And then on his driver license, he got it when he was, of course, like 17, 16. So he looks so young on the driver license picture. I'm like, look at that, now he's taller than me. He's, skinnier, and his beard, and stuff like that. Like, I was still very young. I doesn't look like that anymore.
Yeah, so very, very happy, very proud
so
of
much.
you. So I'm super, super excited. So again, big round of and then I'm also proud of Vipulsing. Vipulsing, can you come on over, please? So Vipulsing, so he's a tech guy. He's a full-time job. When he joined the group, you know, he had no clue about real estate, full-time job, but he had the desire. How many rentals do you have right now? Oh, I think like 4, 5. 5 rentals. How long ago did you join the group?
Last year.
Last year when we started, like this year, right? No, last year. Last year. So he's been doing amazing. We have a joint rental together, but on his own, he's been able to like fly. Can you tell us the key, right, to your success coming from a non-related field?
Yeah, for me, the first obstacle was getting the knowledge. I didn't know anything about the real estate. Then I somehow met Hugo. So Hugo gave me a confidence and knowledge that I required. And the next step was like, okay, finding the deals. And I was nervous every step of my way, like putting a deal and putting an offer and everything, but I was in touch with Hugo. So Hugo helped me get through this process. I knew there are people out there. If I fail somewhere, they're gonna help me out. If I need to do rehab or if you have to do a mistake. So it worked out quite well, and I did not expect that I was hoping to get the first rental, but somehow I ended up getting 3. So thank you, Hugo, for that.
No, thank you. I'm so proud of you. He's like, you know, another one that is killing it big time. You know, given the fact that he's got a full-time job, right? But he's always connecting with people. He reaches out, and then our backing group is also assisting on deal analysis, deal vetting, right? Anything that you guys need, we help you. So both of you mentioned something about training. Let me tell you about training. when we started in real estate 3 years ago doing training and lots of training and technology, it's important, but as they say, the more you know, the more you realize that you do not know anything, right? You will never finish learning what you need to learn in real estate. That applies to me as well. I'm learning. But the key is to actually take action. That's the key. So execution trumps knowledge all day long. You don't need to wait for the stars to align to do something. Execute, right? Will stand by you, right? So if you fall, we're going to be holding you here so you don't fall, because that's very critical in real estate. If you're on your own, tough luck. And one fall, it's like surfing. One fall, you get wiped out, you're gone. Real estate is not forgiving, right? You make one mistake, my goodness, you're going to pay for it. So that's our job, to stand by you, make sure that you don't fall, because it's not like I'm the expert, by no means, but I know the experts on every field. And then the more I step out and let the experts take on, the better things run, right? So that's super critical. I try not to be a trade-off judge, by no means. My focus has been on building relationships, and that should be as well your focus. We're in the relationship business. The houses are just the means to make money. That's it. But you are in the relationship business. So I'm so happy that you all came tonight, because that's the perfect setting for you to build those relationships. Okay, for those of you online, connect. Okay, that's super, super important. Okay, to connect. Get in the habit of connecting with people at least once a day. Make one phone call a day. Get out of your comfort zone. Talk to somebody that you haven't talked to. Okay, and please don't be a taker. Don't call somebody when you need. Call somebody just to say hi, check on them, whether it's Father's Day, Mother's Day, any holiday, and see, how are you doing? Is there maybe anything that we can collaborate, or is there anything that I can help you with, right? They'll remember you, right? Because don't just call somebody when you need, right? See what you can work together, right, as a group. So before saying, thank you. It's been a pleasure having you as part of the group. So, and then I'm also very proud of Ron. Ron has, we have a property together. The properties that he has identified, he's got a lot of experience as a HUD inspector. So he's got an eye for amazing deals. He's picked 2 deals. The 2 deals he's picked, oh my goodness, like a Dalton property, right? It has like over 100,000 in equity that he chose. He chose another one from the area lease that we have access to in Oakland. So that we're gonna buy that for 187. It's gonna be worth over 330. The rehab is gonna be about 60,000. So a beautiful property, new siding, new roof, new gutters, new windows, brand new kitchen. All that needs to be done is 1.5 baths, refinishing the floors, knock one wall, put drywall, and then in the basement do the flooring, change the water heater. About 60,000 worth of work, but it's a great. Yeah, asbestos on the second floor, right? Yeah. In the basement. He's an expert, by the way, on mold remediation and asbestos. But yeah, the properties that he was able to pick, amazing deals. Are there any questions? Anything that you guys? We've known each other for some time, right?
Yeah. I have a question.
Yes.
The property you just talked about, you got off the list. What were the numbers on that?
So purchase price 187, rehab 60, and it's going to be worth 340 or so in Oakland. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's an amazing deal. It's a beautiful property, and live rehab. It's going to be a 3-bedroom above grade level, 1 bedroom in the basement, so 4. 1.5 bath.
That's from the bank list?
Yes, exactly, the bank list.
So does the purchase price also include the fee that they charge?
The purchase price includes, no, that's separate. So the fee, the finder's fee is about 5,000, depends on the property, about 5,000 average. Yeah, no, but then as long as the numbers make sense, yeah, that's what we care about. And the rehab is not extensive. Yeah. So tell me your experience. Well, what has been your experience? Because we've known each other. Tell me, come on up. So tell us your story.
I've been in real estate for about 25 years. I've used your program before, DealVault.
Yes.
Problems finding deals that aren't competitive at the MLS. Last 3 deals I did were all off market, word of mouth from somebody saying, I got a friend selling a house or something like that. And each one of them probably turned $100,000 in profit.
That's amazing. So
in Joliet, I did one. I bought in January this year for 100. I just refinanced it. It appraised at 215. I put 30 into it.
Whoa.
I did one in Crest Hill. I picked up for 65, and that came back at 180. What was the other one? Oh, the other one was also a Crest Hill house that I got somebody I met at a RIA meeting. They passed on the deal because it was too much work. And I put 50 into it, and it was worth another 200.
That's amazing. So as you can see, right, the great deals they never make it to the masses. They're taken online. I mean, not online, but privately.
And I've sent out mailers and nothing for responses. Right?
Exactly, it's pretty hard.
I sent out 200 mailers, and half of them come back not deliverable, and no phone calls on them. You know how it goes, right? Yeah. I go on, I put flyers on the doors. And
so great job. Thank you for coming today. Everyone is here with Jessica, right? Jessica, how's your recap? So she got and also a great deal in Park Forest, right? For about 100,000, it's worth a little bit over 200,000, and then budget is about 55, 60.
Yeah, I will probably come in under what we got alone.
Perfect, perfect. When do you anticipate completing that project?
I'm going to say within the next, we're getting the countertop, the cabinets are in, the windows are in, the flooring is done. The only thing left really is to get the countertop put in, get railing for the stairs, which is not much, and just finish the hardwood floors. And that's basically all that's left to do.
Perfect. That's awesome. So when do you anticipate maybe going on the market with that property?
Well, once I get it all cleaned up and everything, by the end of the month.
End of the month?
Yeah.
Great. Looking forward to it then. Great job, Jessica. So Jessica, she has been an incredible team player. She's helped the entire team tremendously, and she's got a lot of experience. She's great with boots on the ground, and so thank you, Jessica. You've done so much for the group. The VIP team player of the group. Exactly. So please connect, and she's got a lot of resources, and we share resources. So that's one of the big things, right? Share resources aside from the deals, the funding, sharing resources, and doing partnerships. Okay, perfect. Oh, it went up. Yeah, thank you. I pulled the cable. Okay. So this is where we are, about 102 members. We've done over 5 million in transactions, and we engage in wholesaling big time. One of the biggest wholesaler in Chicagoland area, Russell Walker, works for a brokerage, so he brings all the off-market deals to us as a first-hand look, 24 hours. Yeah, so April, here's your success story. So proud of you on your property. We have Angelique. Again, big congratulations on your current property. Bipulsin. So that's one of the properties that we jointly have as a rental, and he's on your feed, right? So this is the other one that you have on Hazel Crest. And by the way, you know, Hazel Crest has a rental moratorium, but he was able to get past that, right? Because he got it rented right before they implemented the rental moratorium. So he was perfect timing. He was perfect timing. And then he's got another one in Calumet City. That's a beautiful property. How much are you cash flowing on this one, before? So
Yeah, this one's
1,500. Yeah, that was really. Michelle, this is your property that we have jointly as a rental. That's also a beautiful property. I remember people were fighting to get this property. It's a rental that we have with Michelle. Ron Brock. We have another one with Ron Brock in Dalton. Again, this had a lot of equity on this one. Over 100, close to 95,000 on this one in Dalton. Then we have Sixto. Sixto, he's been one of our pro investors. Since he joined the group, he's been killing it. He bought no less than 10 properties. So guys, please connect with Sixto. He's a great resource as well. He's doing always a lot of deals, okay? Sixto, then we have Annalise. She's also a great resource for those of you who have not met Annalise. She's one of the top agents, Annalise Forte. So if you ever need a CMA or she's been in the business for over 25 years, she is amazing. So she's also a private money lender. She's part of the group. We have several private money lenders in the group, and in fact, Ron Brock is one of them. Joanne Williams, she probably might not be on the line, but she's been, doing real estate on and off. But this year she killed it. Like she got two amazing deals. One of them is in Dalton, and the other one is in Park Forest. Have you been to her property in Park Forest, Jessica? To the Dalton property, right? Great properties that she got on the contract. Joseph, he got a great property in Markham as well. And then Rich Joseph, another property in Markham. And Rich, we're gonna fund his transaction in Hoffman Estates this month. He's closing on a great property. It's a townhome, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. He got it for 130. It's worth like 230 or 240. It means probably 30,000. We're gonna be funding his transaction as well. Rich Joseph, again, he's got over 30 years of experience. So great person to get in touch with, Rich Joseph, okay? Stanley, so yeah, very proud of Stanley. He's done over 100 rehabs for other people, right? But this year, he pulled the trigger. So we worked with him. We sourced this MLS property. This is an MLS deal for him. And in fact, Jessica represented him on the transaction. So proud of Stanley. He's a GC. He's done too many great deals or rehabs for other people, but nothing for himself. So this is his first property. So again, kudos to Stanley Ramirez. I think he might be online. Nick Andrews, he's an appraiser. He's part of the group. So reach out to Nick Andrews, guys. Lately, we've been using appraisers for all these REO properties. Before we pull them, we get an appraiser involved. We say, can you give us the asking value and the ARV? We want to be over 98% accurate on the value of these properties, right? Because when we pull the trigger, there's no way back. So reach out to Nick. He got a great deal in the stager. So this is just a quick summary of, how proud we are of people doing amazing deals, amazing things. Is anybody stuck? Anybody stuck that we can, because that's what we're all about, to help. Are you guys stuck? Tell me. Come on up, tell us your story.
Well, I mean, my name is
Michael.
And I am stuck. All I think about is real estate 100% of the time. I work at a bank, but I have a job where, and I hope nobody's online. I have a job where literally all I do is, when I'm not doing that, I'm looking at properties back and forth. I'm constantly making calls. I have been in touch with VAs, but the ones that I've been getting, they're not really doing what I need. So I'm making the calls, but the little calls that I do make, a lot of the times, it's the numbers I disconnect. I have talked to some people, but then it's just like, when I talk to them, they're not interested, they hang up, blah, 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 this, that, and so forth. But then sometimes I am able to connect with folks, but like their rates are so high. Like this one guy I talked to, he wanted 175 for the property. The most it was appraising at 150. Forget it. So he wanted me to meet up with him last Saturday. I was like, for what? Because he was stuck on that price. He was like, 175, take it or leave it. That's it. And he was very adamant about what he said.
Okay.
So I mean, I was kind of, upset or whatever, but I continue to make calls. And then my biggest issue is that I see a lot of properties that's vacant, that's boarded up, and I try to connect with the village, but the village are not helpful at that. They don't really want to speak. So I try to leave sticky notes. I try to talk to people, but the numbers that I have just don't work. And even when I think we talked about mailing them out. When you mail them out, they come back, they're no good. And I'm like, what do you do?
Okay, no, of course, that makes sense. So what's your full time? What do you do?
Well, I'm a realtor, but then I work at a bank.
Right, okay.
I want to invest.
You want to invest. Sure. Have you done rentals or flips or wholesales or nothing yet? Nothing. What would you like to do?
Wholesale initially, but then I would really like to flip. That's my ultimate goal, to flip, get properties.
Okay.
Yes.
So, guys, this is a big misconception, right? So investors, they want to do wholesales to capitalize, to make money so they can buy properties, right? So that's a big misconception. You can do whatever you want today. And, you have Angelique and many others who are able to do so. So, Jose, or Maria or both, can you please come up? So let's help. Can you tell them your name and introduce?
Jose, nice to show you.
Jose, Maria. So let's see how we can help you. So you have a full-time job, right? So you want to do flips. To do flips, you need funding, right? So which we can get you. We can get you the $2 million line of credit, right? Now, for that, you need a track record, which we can help you. We can help you to that. Now, let's move on to the reserves. How much money do you have to invest in real estate? Liquid reserves. Roughly. That doesn't need to be precise.
Maybe
Okay. Sounds great. So 1,000, which is not enough. So now, Jose, how can we help him? Because Jose has been helping our investors to get them unsecured loans. So
sure, absolutely. What was your name?
My name is Mike.
Michael.
Okay. So, Michael, you're a perfect example of our ideal client when it comes to real estate investing. So, for those of you guys that don't know me, my name is Jose Baiza, and I specialize in raising money for businesses. I've been doing this for about 15 years, and I started lending in the lending industry because of investors. I'm an investor myself, and lack of money was always one of those situations. And what I've learned is that there's so many different ways of getting access to capital. There's never a lack of money. That's the problem. It's really a lack of resources because the money's out there. You can go private money. You can go with the type of money that we offer, which is term loans, lines of credit. We got some true credit lines. So, of course, we have hard money loans and whatnot. And so it's really just a matter of leveraging what you have. One of the things that we've learned, especially like reading Robert Kiyosaki's books and so many other seminars we've gone to, is that you want to use other people's money, right? But other people can mean your family members, but other people can also mean other lenders, other banks. Why not use the bank's money? And so what we've learned is we've learned a strategy on how to leverage your criteria. In this case, right now you have a job or you have your profession, and see what happens is that we can use that to your advantage because lenders, they want to limit the amount of risk. And so they don't want to give you the money when you need it. They want to give you the money when you don't need it. And they also want to look for every little bit of detail as to why they should not give you the money. So for that reason, We personally have a team of underwriters that work for us inside, and they will analyze your file. They will analyze all of your criteria. If you're a veteran, we have lenders that prefer veterans. If you are in the entertainment industry, we have that. Teachers, and if you don't have any of that, if you have a job, we have lenders that prefer people that have a job, right? So we figure out ways as to how can we give you access to money with the least amount of risk to you. It may be a little bit risky to the lender, but again, we have to also look out for ourselves as investors. If I give you $100,000 and you're a seasoned investor, if I give $100,000 to Hugo, we know that he's going to turn it into $1 million because he can probably buy about 5 different properties with $100,000. Does that make sense? So it's not so much as to the amount of money always, it's also about how much and how can you use it. And being in this group, we've realized that we personally work with so many other groups, but being with this group, you guys realize that it's about the mastermind, being around other people that know what they're doing. Being around Hugo, you can ask questions. I know April definitely has a lot of questions, and that's amazing because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to ask questions. Don't feel like you shouldn't be asking. You know, we're here to help each other out. I had a lot of questions myself when I got started in real estate. And so that's why in this case, we're here to help each other out. And I can tell you that for you, all we need is your name, date of birth, and home address, right? Anyone here that is interested in learning where you stand financially within the bank's eyes, name, date of birth, home address. You provide that information to Maria. We have some forms that, and even Hugo has some forms that for those of you guys that are online, you guys, all you need is just those 3 pieces of information. We're not going to do a hard pull. We're actually on your side. And on your side, we don't want to do any hard pulls. We want to limit the amount of inquiries in your report until we know how much money is on the table. So the process is very simple. Once we have that information, we put you in through a quote internally based on our experience and based on the fact that we actually raise millions of dollars, $8 to $11 million a month. We know what the lenders are looking for. We know that the lenders are a little bit tight right now with the industry and with the economy, but that doesn't stop us. We're still lending out millions of dollars every month because it's kind of like that book with who moved my cheese, right? So who moved the money? The money's not here anymore, but it's over here. Now we know that maybe we need to get a little bit better interest rates, so we need better credit. So it's not so much that the money's not there, it's just that you need people like us to be able to tell you, hey, the money moved this way. We need to go here. And that's why internally we look at your actual criteria internally before we push it through the lenders. So by the time that the lenders see you, they see a perfect individual. Sometimes we have to go very vague with lenders, especially I believe you work with the banks. So sometimes we don't tell them exactly what you're using the money for. We actually give them a very vague reason as to what you're using the money, such as maybe perhaps a life expense that you're doing or whatnot. Anything that's not going to turn any red flags. Most of our all of our lending, when it comes to term loans and lines of credit, which is used for gap money, and you can use it for really anything, that money is going into your bank account. What you use the money for, that's up to you. I know that you guys as investors, you're not going to go take a Hawaiian vacation or do anything crazy like that. But it goes back to if I give you $100,000, it's about what you're going to do with it. With us, we're going to be able to say, you know what, Michael, we can give you $100,000. You can expect this much in interest, and we're going to give you the offers. You'll get to see the offers before we even do a hard pull. So that way, you can strategize with a mentor or somebody like Hugo, anyone that you want to ask questions, and you can say something like, well, you know what, I have 5 different offers. I'm getting an offer for $30,000 at this much interest, at this monthly payment. I have this much money for this much interest, this monthly payment, and then you start doing your numbers. If you have $100,000 available for you and it's going to cost you $2,000 a month, then and your projects are going to last about 6 months, then the interest rate's not going to matter much because you're going to get rid of it within 6 months or so. That's typically what our investors do. It's not a long-term process. Our loans are 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, but our lenders or our clients usually pay off the loan when it comes to real estate investing within a month. Does that make sense? But the key here is that you're not going to put your collateral and you're not going to put your own money at stake, because God forbid something happens and you have to pull money from your bank account. Now you're stuck with no money, and then you have to put it on your credit card, and then all of a sudden your debt utilization goes up, your credit utilization goes up, your credit tanks, and there's no more financing. And that's what we realize, that clients that don't leverage their credit, they don't leverage their income, that's where they come into a hurdle where they don't have access to funding. Let that be the bank's problem. Because if you, God forbid, something happens when it comes to contractors or any deal, something happens and you can't make that payment on the loan, the lender's not going to say, you know what, collections right away. They're going to want to work with you. Hey, let me give you another month. Let me give you 2 months. That's more than enough time to work a deal out. Does that make sense?
Of course.
So that's what we're here to do, you guys.
Awesome.
We're here to help out.
That's amazing. So, I want to thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Jose, thank you, Maria. You guys have been amazing with our group. And then I want to help Michael.
Absolutely.
So if you can please work with him tonight. So what are we going to do with Michael, guys? So first of all, I want to crush the myth of doing wholesaling before you can do flips. So the first step is to get him some capital, some reserves, and then we can help you with the line of credit. And then as far as focusing on vacant homes and so forth, it's not a bad idea, but I think we can help you with the properties and then with the group, right? To do deals, do partnerships, because that's what we're all about. We're sort of putting the training and technology in the back burner to do deals, to do transactions. So we're transactions driven. So we want you to be successful. In fact, I was talking, one of Juan, his name is Juan. I've known him for probably 3 years. 3 years or so, when I started in real estate, maybe 4 years, because he joined my group when I started. And then I met him about a week ago. He came to coffee with Hugo. And then I asked him, so Juan, how are you doing? What have you done? He told me nothing. I was like, that killed me. So I said, you know what? Come to my house, bring your wife. So he came yesterday, and then, okay, tell me everything. What are you up to? So he's a contractor, in fact. He's also a bartender. I love making drinks. I have a bar at home. And then I started to get into cooking, and then his wife does pastries, cakes, everything. So we talked about food for like 2 hours, right? So I was super excited. I said, I do want to help you. So I got on the phone with him today. He said, okay, Hugh, I'm going to meet you again with my wife. We're super interested on Friday, but I truly want to help them because it's been over 2-3 years. They have not done anything. So I feel so bad for him because he's wasted so much time, money, energy, and he's not getting anywhere. And I'm sorry to tell you, Michael, but I think that might be your case as well, right? For how long have you been trying to do this?
Well, real quick, I actually bought a rehab property in
2003.
2003.
Exactly. So my thing is, we've got to do something different, right? You've got to switch gears. Else, if you don't change and you continue to do the same thing, you will end up where you are today in 10 years from today, right? And that would kill me, right? So that's, with Juan, he said, Hugo, I want to be part of the group on Friday. So right away, on my way here, I said, we're going to do something really amazing for Juan. I said, you know what, Juan, you're going to be our next success story. So what I did is I got on the phone with support and I said, let's find a property. I said, the funding, we're going to take care of. He only has $20,000 in cash. I said, that's going to be enough to do a deal, but this is my goal. By Friday, I'm going to meet him on Friday with his wife again. I want to have a property for him. So I got on the phone with support. I sent some text messages, and then tomorrow I have a meeting with the New Western. My objective is to find him a property by Friday. I'm going to say, hey, welcome to the group. By the way, this is your new property. That's going to be my challenge for Friday. I'll let you guys know what the outcome of that is, because it's a pretty big challenge. It's a really big challenge for me. I always like to push the limits, right? Do what nobody's doing. when everyone goes this way, I want to go the opposite because I want different results. I want something new. In fact, the track record, when I brought that up to one of the lenders, he told me, Hugo, that's brilliant. Nobody's doing this. You're going to be able to help a lot of newbies. I said, yeah, that's objective. So that's my new challenge for Friday. Find a great deal for him. So I surprised him. Welcome to the group. This is your new property. So looking forward to that challenge for me. And again, guys, the key is to connect. Go out of your comfort zone and connect with people. That's going to be worth your time. So I'm so proud and commend you for being here today. This is where things happen on a face-to-face basis. And when you connect, because also that was sort of like my frustration. I went to so many RIA meetings. I met so many people. I saw so many people, but at the end of the day, I only got to talk to maybe 2 or 3. So now, I think we could do it tonight, sort of like speed dating, but speed networking, right? Speed networking. So get to know each other, but go to the point. So let's say, Michael, you and I are going to do it. Just as an example, come on up. So come on up, Michael. I'm picking on you. So this is how it should go, right? To see if there's a match and how we can help each other. What's your exit strategy? Meaning you have three options: flip, rental, or wholesale. So just tell me, flip. So I want to do rentals, whatever you want to do. Okay, what counties are you focusing on?
We're going to start with
Cook. Okay, so I'm flexible. All main 6 counties. But I live in Mount Prospect, so I don't want to go too far out. And then do you have, so this is what people can bring to the table or lack. Deal. Do you have a deal?
Not right.
Not right now. Okay. And then do you lend money or do you have capital?
Neither.
No. Okay. The next one is, do you have time?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
And then do you have knowledge?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. So in my case, I have a little bit of everything: knowledge, time. Well, actually, except time. I have 4 kids, so I don't. They take over my life, and that's my full-time job. In fact, Diego today, he asked me, "Hey, Hugo, did you put your kids in summer camp?" No, I said, I'm the summer camp. I hang out and I do stuff with them. Why would I pay for somebody to enjoy my kids? They grow fast. I want to spend time with them today. And that's what real estate is going to allow you to do, what's truly meaningful in your life. That is why I'm pushing so hard for everyone to be successful today, so that you can do whatever is meaningful in your life. That's the end goal, right? Not so much the financial freedom that comes along the way, but freedom of time. Being able to do what's truly meaningful in your life has no price, especially because life is short. So you better do what you truly enjoy and spend quality time with wherever you enjoy the most. That's going to be so critical, okay? And real estate is the mean to accomplish that. So anyway, do the speed networking tonight, right? So exit strategies, what do you bring to the table? What do you lack, right? How can we work together? Let's say if I don't have time, but he does have time, right? I have the funding, he doesn't have the funding, but he's got time and knowledge. I think there's a connection, right? I might have a deal so he can manage the project, or he's got the time. That's really valuable for somebody to have time. Like he's got the capital, he's got some knowledge, but he doesn't have the time. So do you see the connection, right? He's got time, right? He's got knowledge, so he can collaborate easily with the Pulsi, right? And many other people that have a full-time job, he's a great resource because he's got the time and he's been wanting to do this. So he's got the desire, right? So he just needs the push and the right connection and group, right? So let's do the speed networking tonight. Let's connect, make some business partners, potentially lifetime friends, right? So that's what we're all about, connecting. Are there any other questions? Thank you, Michael. So any other things that you guys, so by the way, as far as the access to the skip tracing, we have the software. We can give you a 30-day trial and we train you. So we can show you how to do that. So we have people who all they do is training. So you can get on the software for free 30 days. If you like it, $140 a month. Okay, but again, don't get so hung up on the technology or the training. Meeting people is what's going to get you the most. Okay, connections and being part of a network. So that's what's your name? I think you yeah. Hey, Joshua. You know, Joshua. He's Mark's son, and you know, he's doing amazing. So how many rentals? 2 or 3 rentals, right? Then how old are you, Joshua? Come on over.
Yeah. Come on, John.
Yeah.
She gave me the spotlight. So I have 3. She just had one appraised this morning. One's rented. One's appraised this morning, and one's under rehab right now. So I'll do that in the last 5 months or so. So it's pretty good.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's giving me time freedom. And actually trying, I've been chatting with you. I've been trying to come up with some kind of like software or something for real estate to make all of our lives easier. So.
Exactly. So and then, you know, I told Joshua, because he told me that he was probably thinking about getting a full-time job. I said, you know what? Don't waste your time. You know, they're like great people,
it's
right?
Like you were saying, it's relationships. Like Hugo was telling me that don't get a full-time job. Now, I've been thinking about this for a while, by the way. I'm college educated, so I have a degree. I can get a pretty decent job in finance. But the relationships and the type of network that someone like Hugo is creating, if you just put yourself out there and, you know, try to add value to people, whether it's with your time, running errands, I mean, that's how I started. And now I'm, you know, trying to create some kind of like, you know, technology to help people, but just putting yourself out there, that's where you're getting value. If you have the time to do that and prioritize that, I mean, it's changed my dad's life. It's already begun to change mine. I think it's changed yours.
Of course. And then what I told him is he's going to leverage his dad's network, right? Mark Goodman. You know, I remember last year he told me when he joined the group, Hugo, I really want to build a big rental empire. He's got 32 rentals, 32 doors today. He knows a lot of people. So he grew like exponentially in the last year. I would say he went from like 20 to 32 in a year.
Yes.
So 12 units in 1 year. So I said, you know, just leverage from his network because he can get funding, private funding. So money won't be an issue. So exactly. So now he's got time. So I said, Joshua, let me think how we can work. He's analytical. So now I made him part of the brokers group, right? He's going to have a second, because he likes to analyze. He's going to have a second shot at all these potential deals that we flag and analyze them. So he's got the chance to take on a deal, partner up with people. So I said that is why, you know, your time will be worth more focusing on these, leveraging from the network instead of getting a full-time job.
Yeah.
You don't want that right now. Okay, Yoshi, thank you for coming. And, you know, he's very charismatic and ambitious. So he doesn't need 3 properties and you're 25, right? So it's amazing. So let's connect. I'm gonna be here. We have questions. Ron.
Oh, that was just when I first started. Because everybody.
Come on, Ron, so they can hear you.
Okay. A lot of people. I think I told you that I used to work for foreclosed properties for 5 years from the banks. But when I started getting real estate investor, I had her 2, 5, and 7. 2 for flip, 5 for buy and rent, and 7 is when you can pay them off. Okay, so that's what I'm working on because I've been working for a long time, and because of my age, and so I just want to just let you know what I've been doing and helping people as well. What I got today, I got 20,000 for a loan. I got U.S. Bank called me about getting the $20,000. Plus, I put some money, and then plus my parents took care of me and my sister. Now, let me tell you something that you may or may not know. Put your properties that you're renting in a trust. When you put it in a trust, it was an example when somebody was renting and that person that was renting talked to their attorney. That attorney was going after them. When you put your properties in a trust, you can give it a different name. And other thing about a trust is when, and it's in, I got a lawyer in Oak Park that's a trust. And when you do that, you can give it a different name, whatever you want to call it. Okay? So you don't want to get yourself hurt or go to court, especially if you have a lot of families and they think that they want their property or they want something else, and so they might want to take you to court. When you do stuff in a trust, that's the key thing. You got to have, I did that with my daughter. She's got everything. Now, I just want to let you know I'm moving forward because eventually I'm going to stop working with my company. I've been working with them for 8 years and I want to make more money.
Yeah, that's a great advice, right? To put everything, a trust will bypass probate. That's what, and it's a privacy mechanism. So it's a great advice for estate planning. So anybody else, any other comments? If not, let's enjoy cookies, refreshments, and then let's do the speed networking, okay? So I know you guys know some of you, so connect with somebody that you do not know. Okay, let's try that, and then I'm here, let's connect, let's exchange phone numbers, and then anything else that you've been around as well. He's also a big player. He's very shy, but he's got a lot of capital, by the way, and he's got a lot of experience. He buys properties cash from judicial auctions. So he's got tons of experience. So please connect. Well, what have you been doing lately? Quickly.
Well,
introduce yourself.
My name is Fred. Fred. Lately, over the last couple of years, I haven't done anything. One thing I try to, I learned how to study the market. And over my experience over the last couple of years, over the next 18 months, prices going to really start adjusting like they should. I've been in the real estate. I've been doing real estate projects. My experience is multi-unit. Right now, I'm concentrating strictly on single family. The last deal I did was a couple of years ago. I bought it actually from Jacobs.
Yeah, it was occupied, right? You had an issue getting possession of it.
When I bought the property, 2 weeks later, the pandemic closed it. So I tried to cash the keys. She wouldn't accept it. Wind up, the sheriff came out. But it's a property, sight unseen. I've asked people not to do that, unless they really know the numbers. Just to give you an example, I brought the property for 60, where it was worth 170. far as county work, I think I've probably spent maybe $3,000 to $4,000. So it's moving pretty good.
Very nice, Fred. So yeah, please connect with each other. Thank you for coming, Fred. It's been a while since we haven't seen you, so nice to see you. Yeah, connect with each other. Let's make each other more successful. Thank you very much, Virginia.
Thank you.
You're gonna
Yeah, we're gonna get down to this card. Patty wants to give you guys a tour.
Oh, you guys want to see a tour of this facility? Oh, sure. You guys are all expert on something, so it's all residential.
Perfect.
You guys want to see how I live commercial?
That sounds great. Are there any other questions online?
But it's a walking tour, so we have this facility, we have a building here, we have a building next door, we have a basement that will develop. So I have a lot of real estate investors here, a lot of people that they do joint ventures.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining online. We're gonna do some speed networking. Thank you, Phil.
Thanks, Hugo.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Hugo. Thanks, Hugo.